I I literally have a vlog camera, I have a cinema camera, I have pretty much everything, and I'm still recording on my fucking MacBook. The quality looks like straight from a toaster. I'm so sorry, guys, but actually, I think sometimes it's just nice to keep it simple. Sometimes it's just nice to keep it straightforward. I kind of find this satisfying. I don't know. For some reason, I really like it. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. I've been wanting to revive my podcast for such a long time now, and it's just been such a big part of my life. I started like almost 5 years ago now, and it's been very on and off. I keep saying that. And there's always like a few months where I don't post, a few weeks where I'm very excited about posting all the time. But overall, my podcast is always on my mind. Always. And I have gone through my moments of like, this is so cliche, everybody has a podcast now. But honestly, I do not care. Podcasting and yapping and talking gives me so much joy, and I am in this firm belief that everybody, it'll eventually kill you to keep everything inside unless you are a very like specific person and you thrive on that. But I'm a person, it would eventually kill me to keep everything inside. I'm a person, I have to yap, I have to share my stuff with the world. Even if it's cliche, even if people find it annoying, I don't even care. On today's topic is we have to disconnect. And that's something that just came to mind right now. I was just doing I hate that I'm saying daily, but it actually is daily, like 10 minutes on Reels. I've had such good streaks of like not being on social media at all. Currently I'm struggling again, but I was just scrolling and my brain was just feeling fried after like 5 Reels. I was just fried. In general, I have a feeling that Instagram has just gone downhill immensely. I literally cannot deal with that app anymore. It feels dystopian. It feels oversaturating. Instagram has the worst vibes of all the social media apps, except for Snapchat. Snapchat is... I'm gonna give you guys... That's gonna trigger some people. I'm actually gonna say something that's gonna trigger people. But if I see someone who has Snapchat and uses it, it's so stupid because I do have one, like a really close friend of mine, and I talked to her about this. She has Snapchat. But if you are an actual Snapchat user still in 2025 and you're over the age of 18, what are you doing? Like, maybe it's just because I connect Snapchat with like the worst times of my life. Honestly, I just remember the feeling of being left on scene, or left on open. That's what it's called. Being left on open, and remembering like the feeling of, oh, like we lost a streak. Just the worst time of my life. And I remember when I was like 15, 16, I was like snapping with like crushes that I had, or like boys from my school. It had the weirdest icky energy. Like it had the weirdest feeling ever. So I just like don't connect it to anything good. Anyways, back to Instagram. I feel like Instagram has the worst energy, but I just felt incredibly overwhelmed. Overstimulated. My brain felt dead after like 5 Reels. I was like, what the actual fuck? So today's topic, like I said, is going to be about we have to fucking disconnect. We have to disconnect and have to reconnect. We have to disconnect from all the fucking bullshit that is out there, and I feel like we're currently finding ourselves at a time and place before the future is arriving, because the future is going to be... I'm a very optimistic person, but the future is going to be different. Like with AI coming, with everything getting more fast-paced, there's so many good things that will arise if you're on the right side, and so many bad things that will unfortunately arise, but you can kind of pick and choose your side in terms of like, are you kind of reconnecting to the things that are important, or are you really like feeding into all the bullshit, all the rage bait, all the fast-paced content, all the things that are making us sick, all the things that are not good for our brain? So I feel like it's kind of I think we're finding ourselves at a point, and I keep telling this to everyone, like I keep saying this to all my friends wherever I go, we are currently And it's been like this for the past 5 years, but I think it's reaching like this, like, I wouldn't say breaking point, but we're reaching this like incredibly transformative point where it's the universe literally saying like, pick your side. Like, bitch, pick your side. And it's so funny because I do feel like you are also being asked, and I'm being asked to pick a side. And especially at the moment, what I'm noticing is that it's like such a battle with balance. I'm a person, I really, really struggle with balance. And at the moment, it's like I'm constantly finding myself on that side of like, I'm on a really good path. Like, if I keep going down that path in the future, I'm like, I'm gonna be doing good. I'm gonna be okay. And then I keep reverting back to like doom scrolling, and then like eating the unhealthiest crap, and just like falling into like all the bullshit, like, and all the brain rot, essentially. And it's this constant like fight back and forth, which takes so much energy from me. And I feel like so many people are probably struggling with this as well. So honestly, I get you, I feel you. But I feel like at this moment, at this point in time, you have to get really, really clear on what side are you essentially choosing. And I feel like we're all very intuitive beings. I love talking about intuition, but it's really important. Your intuition is already telling you the things that are good for your soul. And the coolest thing is, and that is something that I've always kind of known, but it's something that I just kind of verbalized, is that your highest good, like what the things that are literally the best, most fulfilling, most joyous, most your highest timeline, essentially, what brings you the most joy is also what the world wants from you. So it's like a win-win, because the universe, your purpose that the universe has given you is your highest joy, but it's also exactly what the world needs right now. And so we're also getting kind of into purpose, which I feel like a lot of people are currently being asked or intuitively guided to step into their purpose. But it is so important that you right now tune into what the fuck is good for you and what the fuck is draining you out of your life force energy. And you have to kind of also know that there might be a fight with balance, and that you might feel like you're constantly getting off balance and then like returning again, and you're getting kind of exhausted, feeling like, oh, but I keep trying, and it feels like constantly jumping up the boat and like off the boat. It's just like constantly like going back and forth, and it's just so exhausting, and it feels like I'm not a consistent person. Like, why can't I just da 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 da? It's like constantly da 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 da. It's really exhausting. I get it, 100%. But how can we surrender into what our soul is already naturally telling us to do, instead of constantly fighting? Because what we feel like is going to happen if we stop this fight of like constantly finding balance, and we just naturally, even though sometimes it might be hard, and it will be hard to do, that's like the funny thing, doing the things that are good for us often is hard. Like, for example, doom scrolling is easy. Shit is easy. What I know is good for me is not doom scrolling. Actually reading a fucking book. And that shit is hard at first. But the cool thing is, it is only hard at first. That is something I'm just going on like a tangent here, but that is also something I've noticed, and I've really played around with that. Like, my past few weeks have really been about playing around with that feeling of discomfort, and being able to stay in that feeling of discomfort and feeling of, why do things feel hard? And why do I not do hard things? Why do I run away from pain? Why do I run away from uncomfortable feelings and always turn into pleasure? Pleasure in terms of like doom scrolling gives pleasure. Watching a show gives pleasure. Eating out of boredom gives pleasure. Why am I naturally always running away from the hard things? And what I've done over the past few weeks intentionally is constantly, again and again, putting myself through the hard things. And it's funny, because what every book says, what every neuroscientist says, what every advice guru out there says, is that it's like, as soon as you do it, it's hard at first, but then you're literally like, what the fuck? That wasn't bad. And that's literally the truth. Like, I keep doing that with like household stuff and like the weirdest shit. Like that urge to give into like those dopamine things is so hard. It's so big, it's so potent that it feels like if you don't give into it, you're gonna die. That's literally what it feels like. And then, but if you kind of train your brain of like, wait, we've done that before. Like we've not given into the temptation before, and it didn't kill me. And also, literally in 10 seconds, like if I just push for that feeling, I'm gonna feel okay again. And also, like if you run away from pain, what's the worst that happens when you decide to feel that pain? Yeah, it feels shitty, you cry, but is it gonna kill you? Like it's not gonna kill us. We're capable of way more than we think we are, which is also, I think, holding that pain and doing uncomfortable things also plays a very big role in picking your side, which is essentially what this video is about, is that the universe is currently like, bitch, disconnect from things that are not meant for you and reconnect to the things that are meant for you. I feel like it's truly the side of like the world, and that's just what is happening at the moment, is going through a division. It is currently what's happening. We live in a world of polarity, and this is just, I literally recorded a video about this yesterday, and the entire video got like deleted. I don't know why. Maybe this video will also get deleted. I have no idea. My computer is just going through like storage problems. We live in a world of polarity. That is something that I never really, like, we obviously understand it. It's good or bad. It's like, people see it as like black or white, like in terms of colors, I don't even know. It's like, it's, you know, like straight or like wavy. I don't even know. Like, I didn't use the right words. That sounded controversial for some reason, but I actually like literally meant colors and shapes. Never mind. Basically, we live in a world of polarity. And the world at the moment, like, is going through a shift, and there will pretty much be two sides. And your decision is literally going to have to be like, do you choose to be on the disconnected side, which will probably not like lead to so much happiness, or you're going to lead to, or like go towards the reconnect side. And the reconnect side might be a little bit harder, but you can do things that are hard. Or you can give into pleasure and whatever and the easy stuff. And then eventually that leads to more pain. Or you go do the hard stuff that's hard initially, which eventually leads to more pleasure. But it's actually really interesting getting into that whole topic of polarity. It's something that I struggle with quite a bit. I've been meditating for the past 5 years, on and off. I struggle with like continuous consistency, but pretty much I've had months and months where I was meditating every single day, and especially over the past few months, something that came up in my meditations a lot was a very specific feeling and remembrance of a world that I could truly feel in my bones, but all that I knew was that it was not this world. It was very similar to this world. Like, it was truly just a feeling. It was like some visuals, but it was not this world. I was like, I want to be in this world, like in that world that I kind of felt in meditation. And it was so odd because I kept thinking like, why do I access those feelings so easily? Because it basically was a world that I stepped into that, like, it felt just like peace. It felt like all that's good in the world. And it's also something that I kept seeing as a child within, and like, not all children's movies or like children's shows, so many of them are literally gruesome. There's so many where I just cried my eyes out, like Bambi, the little deer, where the mother dies. Like, I couldn't watch the Disney movies because they made me so incredibly fucking sad. But I actually, like, as a child, truly had that deep connection to a world where all was good, where there was no nothing bad. And I feel like this is a common experience. And it's actually funny because there's not that many kids shows that actually just have good things happen. Even like in children's books, people die, people get eaten, people get killed. Like, let's be fucking honest. Children's stuff is often very gruesome. So I had to get it from some place. Like, there was this deep feeling and remembrance of like, I feel connected to a world where all is well, where all is good, where we don't have to worry about that shit, where we don't have to worry about lies and deception and hatred and war and, you know, and I still had that feeling, and that feeling came up more and more in my meditations again. And it was really, really funny because I got more and more into it. And I don't care if you're spiritual. I don't care what you believe in. This is going to get a little bit woo-woo. But the more I got into it, the more I actually learned about this world. And in my spiritual belief, although my upper spiritual belief will always be the only thing that I know is that I know nothing, which is actually really freeing, and it's a lot of freedom. And it's actually, like, if I had to sum my spiritual beliefs or my beliefs in general up in one sentence, that would probably be it. But I also love my other nuanced spiritual beliefs. But I do believe that we are a soul. I do believe that our bodies are temporary, and that this world aids as a school, essentially. I do believe that wherever we come from is energy. It's a source. It's like an ocean, and you take a drop out of the ocean, put it in a glass, and the glass is essentially our body, and that's how we get to experience, because in our source, we are all one. But it's actually really, really interesting, because the more I thought about it, okay, I know I'm a soul. And look, I have many friends, I have many people that I know that like are very into like starseeds and different worlds and like all that stuff. I don't really know my belief system on that. I don't really incorporate it much in my spiritual practices, but I do believe that there's a high probability, and especially I'm a very whimsical person. I love stuff like fairies and mermaids, and I love thinking about that kind of stuff. I love thinking about magical worlds. It's very, like, that makes my soul very, very happy. I love whimsy in my life. But pretty much, I do think in my belief system that there's a high probability that either through past lives or different worlds, that my soul remembers a world where there is no polarity. And that remembrance of what I felt in my childhood, and that remembrance of that world that my soul had probably experienced in a different life, in a different world, through that, I learned so much about polarity in this world, because I kept thinking, like, why can't this world here just be like that? I was, like, so frustrated, because I was like, I know that feeling. Like, and I do believe this world is the biggest teacher. This world can be seen as a school, I don't want to say the word video game, but in many, many ways it can be kind of seen as that, if you want to symbolize it in that way. But I do believe that this earth is a school, and it was set up to kind of, hey, your soul is being sent here because this earth has polarity, and your soul probably hasn't experienced that before. And I do believe there's probably also other worlds that are a lot easier than this world. And I feel like that's kind of where that remembrance essentially comes from. And it's interesting because even though it is terrible, and it is terrible to come from a place of like, my soul remembers a place where there's no polarity and there's actually only peace, to, oh wow, polarity here on this earth will always exist. But there also comes an immense amount of freedom with that, which is also really nice. And even though the only thing that I know is that I know nothing, it also helps me in my limited little brain that loves to have control and make sense of things for my own sake. It also helps me personally make sense of the world in terms of, first of all, I know that none of this is permanent, which gives me a lot of peace. although it probably freaks some people out, but it actually gives me a lot of peace, and not in a depressing way. I'm actually so freaking hyped about experiencing this life in all of its polarity, because I now kind of for myself do know that there's also like a source we're going back to, and a world where there's, I hope I can get like a vacation in my next life of my soul, where it's just like going into this world of like full peace. That would be so nice. And kind of after this like school experience of hopefully a good 80 years full of polarity. But yeah, pretty much we're going back to choosing the two sides. If you come to terms with the fact that this world will always have polarity, and that's what makes this world special, or that's what makes this world the experience that your soul always wanted to get, is how you can kind of make peace with the world. Because I know for a fact so many people, and you probably watching this or listening to this, and me included, before kind of figuring this out for myself, I was angry at the world. I was like, what the fuck, like nothing makes sense anymore. Like there's like, what the fuck, everything sucks. Like what is this? There will always be like a very crazy thing that I always had, like pretty much 2 to 3 times a day. I would just be like, wow, I'm walking here on the street, and at the same time someone is having the best day of their lives, and someone is literally being kidnapped at the same time, or having the worst day of their life. And that's also in terms of like this guilt of like, I'm having a great day, but at the same time there's war happening. And this has been such an immense struggle, and I know especially right now for highly sensitive people, this is something that is incredibly hard to understand, and I don't think anything needs to be understood necessarily. But I think right now, at the moment, it is really important to get to terms with the fact that polarity here will always exist, and that nothing is permanent, and also that you are currently being asked to pick a side. And the last thing I kind of want to give you on your way is to use your intuition. It is sometimes funny because I love giving advice on the internet and I love talking about stuff, but the more I notice is that all I want to do is I want to help people connect to their intuition, because you are highly sensitive and you already know so much. And I think something that is actually really like, it's kind of stupid, is we have so much information online. Like literally also this, I mean, I'm so happy you're listening to me talk. Like please continue listening to me yap. But that's kind of why I'm steering away from like only giving advice and also just sharing personal stuff and also just sharing funny stuff, is because there's so much advice out there. And I know it can be said in a million different ways, and that's great and that's perfect, but I'm kind of steering away from like giving those advice videos, and because I'm like, there's everything out there, and that shouldn't stop me. But at the same time, I'm just like, we need to tune into our intuition. Like we need to disconnect sometimes from all the information out there, because we're not meant to take in that information. Like I'm noticing that if I don't create, if I don't like put out, if I don't talk, if I don't do stuff, and I constantly take in, because I love taking in. I love doing online courses. I love doing like listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. Like I love taking in, reading books. I could read a million books at once, but it's too much information. Like give your brain a break also from like constantly scanning for information. If you have a problem in your life, and also if you're like currently, oh fuck, like what are the things that I should fix in my life? Like what the fuck? Like stop looking at the next video, stop looking at the next shit, tune into your intuition, grab a fucking notebook, do a stream of consciousness writing, get into meditations, like disconnect from all the shit right now for a few days, for a week. Truly, listen to your intuition, because your body and your intuition, they already know everything. And I'm saying everything. And it's so simple. I have a whole video up on how to reconnect to the body and actually step away from the mind, because the mind makes things so freaking confusing and the body is simple. Because you know how many fucking cells you have? And are you telling them what to do? The body is one of the most complex machines, and it's literally yours. And it's just working as it should be if you give it the right tools. You know, some water and some good food, but like, and a little bit of movement and, you know, fresh air. But your body is doing it all on its own, and it's so complex, but it keeps everything very simple for you. And there's so much wisdom that we have lost because we're not connected to the body anymore. But okay, we're getting into kind of a different topic here. I have that whole video up on my YouTube, I think also up on my podcast. But this was a very random yapping episode. I was talking a lot about polarity, and I could yap about polarity even more, but I feel like getting to terms with the fact our soul chose this planet for a fucking reason. We don't fucking know that reason. We'll probably know at the end of our lives why we had to. Maybe we won't know. The only purpose is to fucking have fun. Go live your, like, purpose. Like, do whatever. Like, live your joy and do your sacred work, whether that's creatively or in any other way. Live out your purpose. And that's what we can do. We don't know why our soul chose this weird, magnificent, beautiful, haunting, terrible, exciting, but also depressing world. We have no fucking idea, and we're just supposed to follow our intuition. So kind of getting to terms with the fact polarity is just what we kind of signed up for in this world. Doesn't mean that we can't do stuff. What we can do is choose our side, live out our purpose, which is our highest joy, and also will make the world a better place. It's a win-win, which is really nice. Because the world is being changed by your current energy. If you keep being here and saying the world sucks and the world is so unfair, the world is a shitty place, like, I can't be happy just because there's, like, war happening in this world. The world and the state of the world in the future is literally determined by your energy. If you are depressed all day because you're constantly taking in and consuming all of that stuff with what is wrong with the world, kind of seeing yourself as this saint of, like, yeah, but I'm staying up to date, and I, like, you're terrible for not staying, like, watching the news all day. But those people are literally miserable and don't, at the end of the day, often have the energy to actually do something, and then also spread all of that hatred and all of that anger that they have towards the world to all the people around them. How will you have the energy to be nice to the waiter at the restaurant or the person walking across the street from you, and you giving them a smile or something? Like, you can't give them a smile because you think, like, everyone sucks and the world is doomed. Like, you know what I'm getting? And then you actually have the energy to do stuff and help stuff, and noticing that you cannot save the world, but you can actually start with yourself first, and that therefore spread that energy like a butterfly effect. I know this is kind of controversial because it sounds like at first I'm saying, like, you know, stay oblivious. Not what I'm saying at all. I think the right ones will get the message, but pretty much all I can say is that polarity kind of dissolves for you within that peace and goes away from those extremes in the moment you notice that polarity is what we signed up for, and there's peace in that as well, and it can make life a whole lot easier. Yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that random yap. I went for like 5 different topics, but I hope you guys had a blast. It was kind of fun to record again. I hopefully will record many more of these in the near future, and I hope this video has recorded. Like I said, last time I yapped for like 30 minutes and it didn't record, but I hope you guys had a beautiful day, night, morning, whatever time it may be, and I'll hopefully see or hear you guys again in the next episode. Yeah.